Hi, guys, and welcome to this week's episode of Better Than Sex. My name is Julia Reed Nichols.
I'm Kitty Cat DeMille.
And we have a very special guest with us this week. If you can introduce yourself.
So my name is Megan, and I'm from Liquid Red.
Can you explain to us what Liquid Red is?
So Liquid Red is, I have a company that I create lingerie. So I make harness lingerie. Most of it is made of elastic, kind of like this stretchy elastic. So it's one size fits all, and it fits a lot of sizes from small to very large. And I also have an events company that is also called Liquid Red. And I do events monthly or every few months in Las Vegas. That's my main event group. And then I also do a Liquid Red event in Detroit once a year, usually in the fall.
Oh, so much fun. So if you can explain, let's go first to the designs.
Okay.
So how did you get started in doing harness designs and that sort of thing?
So I myself have been a performer, and I get up on stage and I announce my events. And so I am always looking for cool stuff to wear, during the events. And I'm a burner, and I go to Burning Man and festivals. So I'm into festival fashion. I'm into gothic fashion. I'm into lingerie and burlesque type fashion, and also fetish fashion. So it's all kind of, things that I like. And I've always really loved harnesses. And one of the big problems I saw with harnesses were that a lot of them were really stiff, like the elastic was really stiff, or they were a type of material that was very cut into your skin a lot. And so I really wanted to have harnesses that were, more stretchy and comfortable, and a variety of designs that could fit more sizes. So I started creating a bunch of different designs with harnesses. Some have floral. A lot of people really like the floral harnesses. And then just the plain black, kind of like this. And you can wear them for a show, or just lingerie, or with pasties, or over stuff. Like I like wearing them over things, like I'm wearing it over a dress right now, or a tank top, or over a swimsuit even. So they're a really great addition to your outfit, but they can be worn in so many different areas that they're just such a great accessory to have in your collection. And you can have a variety of them. It's not just, you don't want to just have one harness. So that's kind of where I started with why I wanted to start making harnesses. And then I started selling them because I was doing the events, and I was already selling some jewelry and stuff that I made. I started out with the jewelry. I was selling jewelry. And then I was like, well, let's see how the harnesses go. And it was actually at Fetish and Fantasy Ball in Las Vegas where I first debuted the harnesses. And I put them on some mannequins I had in the show. And I was like, well, I'll see how it will do. Maybe I'll, sell a couple of these. And people were just like, wow, I sold almost all of them. And I was like, okay, I need to make some more. So I made a bunch more. And now I have over 100 different styles. And I sell them at all of my Liquid Red events that I do. And some other events too, like Fetish and Fantasy Ball. I've sold them at AVN in Las Vegas. AVN, the girls go crazy, and guys, for the harnesses at AVN. And so I did expand to making guys harnesses because, harnesses that are a little bit more gender neutral, so that harnesses can be worn by men or women, or just having a variety of styles that fit different body shapes. So that's kind of where I started with it all, was just at the events and tried it out, and people loved them. So yeah.
That's a great test market. And so for your events, if you could explain to us, because you do a couple of different kinds of events, right?
Well, in general, my events are they started out as fetish events. That was kind of how I got involved in doing fetish events when I lived in Detroit. and when I lived in Los Angeles, and I was doing fetish modeling, and I was the host of some of these events. So then I got involved with being a partner in the Exotica Detroit events. And so I would go back to Detroit once or twice a year to host the events. And then I was also working on with the group in the back end of the events and running the events. And I'm a graphic designer, so I created the advertising for the events and worked on their marketing campaigns and things like that. So I was doing those events, and then when I moved to Las Vegas, I actually partnered with Steve from a company called Foot Night, and it's a fetish event company that does foot fetish events. And we started doing the fetish events here in Las Vegas. So he decided to go a different way with that and keep his just doing his foot parties. And I decided to go the way of making the events a little bit more like fetish, but then having an element of, more cosplay and more themes, and, so not just fetish, but allowing people to be fetish, have their fetish looks and all of that, bring it to the event. So the events are cosplay, fetish, gothic, and then some of the themes I've had for the events are one of them that's really popular is the steampunk event that I have. I have a Carnival Bazaar event that I had near Halloween. I've had a Thunderdome Mad Max themed event. And then I had Kinky Krampus Christmas Party was a fetishy event. And it depends really on the venues. Some venues I'm allowed to do more with the fetish stuff. So those events will be fetish events where there'll be fetish furniture and things like that. And they're usually not like sex going on at the events. It's more like just dressing kinky, and maybe there's a little bit of like bondage stuff going on. And then some of the other events are really only just themed. So people dress up, and then there's shows. I have burlesque shows. I have freak show type things. I have performers, dancers, contortionists. In Detroit, the Detroit event is actually pretty much mostly just fetish. And that one actually came from the Exotica Detroit event because we're not doing those there anymore. So now it's it's replaced the Exotica Detroit events, and now it's Liquid Red Detroit. And so that one's a fetish one. And that one has, the shows, and I have a contest for that event called the Mr. Bondage Detroit contest. So it's really evolved into all of these different types of events, different themes, so there's something for everyone. I mean, unless you're really conservative, then maybe there's not anything for you. But
those are the kind of people you want to have at your parties, anyways.
Well, especially probably not at the bondage parties.
Yeah, I mean, everyone that goes is pretty open-minded and participates and dresses up, and so the crowd is so great. I mean, just in both of the cities, the crowd that I attract, every bar that I've run events at, they're like, I love the crowd. They're so nice, and they're so well behaved, and they're just a great crowd. And so there's no fights. There's no drama. It's all just, everyone having a good time, being kinky and free and open-minded. So yeah, it's always a great time.
Do you find that in Vegas you get more locals, or do you get more out-of-towners? Traditionally, not right now during the coronavirus, obviously, but.
Yeah, I'm obviously shut down right now because of the coronavirus, but and I'll be back with the events when that's all over. But yes, I do have mostly locals, actually, because I have a network of locals that I have an email list, and I have a couple groups and Facebook friends and all of that I invite to the events. And so, I mean, in general, it is more geared towards locals. So I do see a lot of the same people coming to the events a lot, and people get to know each other, and become friends and want to see their friends at the events. And then every once in a while, I do get a chunk of out of towners. I mean, maybe like 10% or, 10 to 20% will be people who found it online and were looking for something to do in Las Vegas, and they just so happen to be there. So I get emails too from people who are coming into town saying, do you have an event on this weekend? I really want to go to one of your events and I'm coming to Vegas. And so I have the interest there of people who are coming in from out of town. But the problem is that the events only happen every month or every 2 months, or, depending on when I can coordinate with the bars. And so I don't want them all lined up too closely, or it just becomes, a bar night basically every day thing. And that's not really what I want. So yeah, I don't always, some of the visitors don't always get to go to it because it's not during when they're here. But, the ones that are here are really excited to be able to come to the event if they get the chance to stop by. Yeah. I've gotten lots of good reviews from visitors. Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine that a lot of people, when they come to Vegas, are kind of looking exactly for this sort of thing to do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Out of curiosity, how much does it cost to attend one of your events?
Well, in general, the events in Vegas, they happen more often, and they're, because of the deals I have with the bars here, they are between $3 to about $8 has been the admission for the events. Because we're trying to keep it a large crowd. Las Vegas locals don't tend to want to spend a lot of money on admission because they know they can get in free to a lot of things here. So the bars kind of feel that way. So I've been trying to keep it between free and $8. And basically some of the bars have gaming and are maybe not allowed to charge entry or something like that. So those I work with the bar, and then I'm able to have it free and open for everybody to come, just free admission. Like my event in December, the Kinky Krampus party, was free admission, and it was insane. There were just so many people there. It was packed and everybody was having a great time. So I mean, there'll be events like that, but then other events I'll have will be, just $5 or $8. And then there's, I make sure there's a really great DJ playing and there's shows. And so, I mean, it's, there's a variety of things going on at the different events, but those are, I keep the price down. And then my event in Detroit is about $25 admission. And that one has a little bit more going on. I have a lot more fetish furniture there. I have more shows. I have that one's really like once a year gigantic full on party. And that one, so that one's priced a little bit higher, but there's a lot more to do at that event. So yeah, that's about the prices for those events.
It sounds pretty reasonable to me. I think that's really reasonable to be for less than $25. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah,
less
it's
than
$10
$10.
to include everybody,
How big are your events typically here in Vegas? You said like your Christmas event. How large was that?
I'm always bad with figuring out the exact numbers. I mean, maybe something like 200 people, or, I mean, it was just, that one was actually a larger space and it filled up. So,
yeah.
And there were the bar was packed. The bar was too packed. They had to grab some people from the crowd and have them help in the back at the bar because they were serving so many drinks. It was crazy.
What venue did you use?
For that one, it was a bar called, I only had an event there one time. It was Ava's, and they closed. They closed that location. I think they might have another location still, but they were like a gaming, smaller bar. And a friend of mine worked there, and she said, you need to have a fetish event here. And so I did that. And then, but mostly recently I've been having events at Artivist in Vegas.
Okay.
That's one of my favorite places. So, and I've had events at a place called The End, which was a zombie apocalypse bar that closed down. And then I had an event at Backstage Bar and Billiards. And I had an event at Sahara Lounge, but that closed down. So, I mean, some of the bars, you know, they close down and then I just move on to another bar. But, you know.
Yeah, as it goes, you know, that's the thing about bars in Vegas is they close and open. Well, especially after this whole crisis, we'll see who's still standing at the end of this.
I really hope a lot of those bars can survive. So.
Yeah. Do you have any tips for somebody that might be interested in getting into this sort of business? I mean, are there any, I would imagine there's like some weird barriers and things that come up when you are throwing fetish events, you know?
I mean, fetish events are definitely, there's a lot of people I've talked to that want to throw fetish events in Vegas. I know that they don't always know what's going on here. And there's actually a lot of rules. And there's actually a lot of bars that don't let you, some bars won't let girls wear just pasties. You have to wear a full bra, or they won't let you show side boob, or they're against certain shows and they're against fetish stuff. And you can't do fetish stuff at lots of bars. And I don't know, maybe some people are very surprised by this, and I'm not surprised anymore because I've known this for a long time, but there are no dungeons in Las Vegas. It's illegal here, which you would think, oh, Sin City, there's dungeons in Sin City. There's not. I mean, there's dungeons in Los Angeles, and so that, here, a lot of stuff is not allowed. There's just a lot of rules here, and it's weird because it's different parts of Las Vegas have different rules. So the Strip has different rules. Part of Las Vegas has different rules. Summerlin has different rules about the bars and what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do. Also, I have a lot of friends who are fire performers and connections of fire performers, and they're always asking, "Oh, I really want to perform fire at your event." So in Detroit, I do have fire performers, and in Las Vegas, I do not. And I did actually work on an event where I was working on hiring the talent for the event. It was an event called World Series of Beer Pong that they have at the Westgate once a year. And I hired fire performer talent for that event, and I went through all the things you have to do for fire, and it's a bitch. It's just
expensive too. It's very expensive.
It's a lot of work. It's I mean, you have to, and just that's not even paying the fire performers. Like, even if you have a fire performer that says, "Oh, I'll just do it for free," you can't even do that. I mean, it's the, you know, the event space itself is very concerned about fire. They have to have insurance, obviously, the performers themselves. The event has to have some sort of insurance, or you have to go through the fire department and you have to get a permit, and it costs a lot of money. And then when the fire marshal comes to your event, they'll charge you $300 just for that. So, I mean, it was just the ridiculous cost of having a fire performer because of all the stipulations. It was so much money. It was just out of control. So, I mean, those are things that people don't know about events. That, I mean, there's just a lot of rules that you have to find out about before you do an event. But otherwise, I mean, yeah, it's bars, working with the bars, finding out what they're making deals with the bars, and then finding out all the rules. There's a lot that goes into that. So, I mean, I'd say the first thing to do would be to find out the rules of the city you're in, because different cities have different rules, and you're going to end up having to be, depending on what you're trying to do, you want to follow those rules because you want to keep being able to have those events. Because I've known other people who have done fetish events in Las Vegas, and they did one or they did 2, or, and then they were shut down because it's just what they were doing wasn't allowed. And I wanted mine to be long-term and follow the rules, but still be fun. So, I mean, that was one of the goals that I had of running the events, is to make sure that it would be something that would be lasting.
Mm-hmm. Are there less rules in Michigan, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
there's actually less rules. I mean, there's still rules of, no nudity and sex in public bars, but I mean, in general, you're allowed to have fire performers. You're allowed to have, they just have to have insurance, and the venue has to be okay with that. And you're allowed to have fetish stuff going on. And I mean, maybe, it might not be all cities. The city I do the event, the cities I've done the events at have been like Detroit and Westland, and so those are cities that are okay with that kind of stuff. But you do have to like kind of draw a line at the sex parts, or the the nudity. And I get a lot of questions too about that, like what's allowed and what, because people want to make sure they're dressed sexy, but they want to make sure they're following the rules so they're not turned away. So I try to make sure that I explain to everybody exactly what they can wear, so that, because people, like I said, all the people that come to the events, they want to follow the rules too, and they want to have a safe and fun experience. And yeah, they do. They, for the most part. So yeah, it just depends what city you're in.
Yeah, that makes sense. We do events all across the country, and they're burlesque shows, and the laws that you get in some states seem very strange, but you still have to follow them because you don't want your venues getting in trouble.
Yeah, I'm sure burlesque is exactly the same. I mean,
they get upset by it, and you're just like, okay. I think it's Idaho.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, Idaho. You can't show the bottom part of your boob. So,
the under boob stuff. Yeah,
there's
under boob, side boob, and I'm like, really? But you can show the top of your boob, right? That's weird that you can show that part, but not that part.
It is. It's a weird. You kind of sit there and you go like, who sat down and made these laws, and what were they thinking when they made them up?
Yeah, I don't understand them either. I mean, there's also with burlesque. I've had burlesque at my events, and it's interesting how one venue will allow burlesque and all kinds of burlesque, but like you cannot spank someone. Like spanking's not allowed. And so I'm like, okay, so you can just like take your clothes off and be sexy, but if you like touch an ass, like woo.
Are there specific laws in Vegas like against bondage in public, or against like spanking in public, things like that? Because I guess I wouldn't have thought there would be specific laws against that.
I don't know specifically. I mean, it's
okay.
I just go by what the bars say. And I mean, they're kind of following the rules of whatever they know in that area, and so they don't get in trouble. So I haven't really looked into all of the laws. I just kind of talk to the bar and make sure I'm under their rules in their area, and then I go by that, because really they know what they're going to get in trouble for and what they're not going to get in trouble for. And so it just could be different from one venue to another. So I really can't, even if I look into the laws, that doesn't matter to me. All I care about is making sure that the venue doesn't get in trouble. So
yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's like one of it's like you don't want the venue to get upset because you want to be able to keep having your events there.
Basically. Yeah.
Yeah. Has your job put you in any like funny situations or any memorable situations that stick out? Because I imagine you come into contact with all different kinds of people doing these events.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things. I do meet a lot of people. To me, I've kind of been doing this for so long that nothing has really shocked me anymore. So I'm kind of desensitized to any of the shock. I mean, I guess maybe so in the doing fetish events, people dress, you know, in fetish things. And so some of the fetish things are, you know, dressing in like bondage that's more like they're a puppy or they're a big baby, things like that. So I mean, so you know, in Detroit, there was a guy who came into the event and he was very large, dressed in just baby diapers, and that's it. And comes into the event. And so in Detroit, I actually, I'm from Detroit, so my family's there. And I have my mom work the door at those events.
Yes.
Yeah, she's great. And I mean, no one was a better option to be able to tell people no at the door about, you know, I mean, other times I had people who would just let their friends in or let people in free or just didn't care, you know? And so she was like, oh, I won't do that. I'll make sure that, you know, everybody pays and everybody who's on the list, you know, nobody's trying to scam and get in free. And she's done a great job. But I mean, that baby diaper guy at the door coming in, she was like, what?
You know, whatever floats his boat, I guess.
You know, she understood that it's just, I said, this is just how these events are. And everybody at these events are really great. And, you know, nobody's going to hurt you. No one's going to do anything uncomfortable to you. And so yeah, I mean, that it was a little shocking that I had to put my mom in the situation of you know, having to talk to the baby diaper guy. But I mean, you know, it's everyone like that coming to the events is cool. And you should feel free to come to an event and, you know, be accepting of everybody. And so, you know, then, you know, she understood. So it's great having, you know, people like that are very understanding around at the events that just, you know, you have to be open-minded at these events. You can't be judging, you know, that somebody comes in dressed one way or another, because that's what the events are about, is to be yourself.
Do you find that there is any judgment in your like muggle life or your vanilla life for the work that you do with Liquid Red?
So yeah, my vanilla life, I do, I'm a graphic designer and I work on web design work, and for the most part, I'm, you know, working with clients who are adults, and I'm not really hiding my, you know, that I do, that I make lingerie and I run these events. I don't really have to hide that. So I do have like kind of a network of people that understands my world and who I am and what I do all around, and that I'm an artist. And so I don't really have any issues with that. So I'm very thankful for that, because I know that in some areas people are a little bit more judgy in your vanilla job, but I'm lucky that I don't really have issues too much with that. And then some of my clients who are a little bit more conservative, I don't put it in their face, you know, that I'm doing that, or that I have these events, or that I make this lingerie or whatever. But in general, I'd say most people are pretty cool with it. And some people are actually surprisingly way into this stuff that you wouldn't know. And I just, for some reason, it comes out to me, like everybody who has like a kink or they're into this stuff, like, I don't know, I somehow get it out of them, and they tell me their whole life story and everything that they're into. And because I'm just very easy to talk to, so I can just like, I'm open-minded, and they know I'm going to be accepting of what they're going to say. So, you know, I find out more about people than most people do.
I think that's probably a good quality and makes you good for these events. If people feel like they can be themselves around you, then you're obviously creating an environment that's exactly what you're going for.
Yeah. I think that it does help that I can talk to people, and and relate to people, because I don't know, this is the scene I like. So this is, it comes easily to me.
Very cool. And if people want to find you online, where can they do that?
So for my harnesses and my lingerie and things like that, my website is shopliquidred.com. So just shopliquidred.com. And that's where I sell my harnesses online, and I have lots of accessories and things like that. And my events in Las Vegas, it's liquidredlv.com, like Liquid Red Las Vegas, but not written out, Liquid Red, then the letter L and V.com. And on that same page, but you can also use the URL for liquidreddetroit.com for the event in Detroit.
Very cool. Well, I'm going to be keeping an eye out because I would love to come to your next event in Las Vegas as soon as they allow it. It'll be so much fun.
There. Yeah.
Yeah. We really appreciate you joining us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice
Thank you for joining us. Yeah, you too. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Well, that was fascinating to learn about.
That was. It's definitely, one of the things I was thinking as I was listening is how people in these kind of events, or like even when you go into a strip club, people are very honest because you have to be self-aware to know what you got to figure. You got to know who you are to be like, I want to dress up as a baby, and like because of it, like you're like one of the most honest people out there because you're like, this is my thing. Might not be your thing, but I've figured out what my thing is.
I really like it. I really like exactly. I really like the transparency of it. I really like that you are walking into a situation where it's like, I'm not going to judge you because who am I to judge? We're all walking into this same kind of like freedom world together and playful world. And I think it goes back to what we've been talking about with a lot of these female entrepreneurs. They're creating fantasy and whimsy and a safe place for people to play.
To be whoever they want and play whatever role they want to in that capacity.
Correct. And for that, that's awesome. Liquid Red LV. I'm definitely going to be checking out those events. I think it sounds so fun. I also love the Artivist. If anybody is in Las Vegas when it opens back up, it's a great independent arts venue. They do tons of burlesque show and live music and bar, and it's great. And it's in the Arts District in Las Vegas, which is just slightly off of Fremont Street, which is the downtown old school part of Vegas.
And very, very artsy, very fun. They do First Fridays there that you and I have both done events there at, and it's
with Mowgli,
with Mowgli and all the other.
Have you explained Mowgli?
I don't think to this podcast.
I think you need to explain Mowgli.
Yes, Mowgli the Dinosaur, which you can check at Blingosaurus on Instagram. For anyone who wants to look it up, because a picture is worth a million words, of course, is a bedazzled dinosaur. He's got 150,000 rhinestones on him. I have a side hustle where I rhinestone stuff, and I walked into a Home Depot a couple years ago and I saw a giant 10-foot T-Rex that's plastic that you put up for Halloween. And I was like, I want to bedazzle that. And your roommate, Matt, and I did it together.
Yeah.
So we are co-owners of the dinosaur.
Yes. We are. I helped take pictures of the dinosaur in front of the Las Vegas sign a few weeks ago.
Yes, for Matt's birthday.
Saying.
Yep. And Mowgli's been to 6 states around this country. He's done photo shoots. He's been at 90-year-old birthday parties. Like he's been to Texas, he's been to Sedona, he's been to Los Angeles and the Bay Area and all over the country.
Mowgli's pretty amazing. I'm trying to see if I can find an image of Mowgli. Here we go. I got it right here.
All right, let's see what this dinosaur
Open looks like. Image in new tab. Technology is amazing, isn't it? You guys don't have to imagine what Mowgli looks like anymore. I can show it.
That's the thing about him. He is just, the world did not have a 10-foot rhinestone dinosaur. and just makes the world a little bit more sparkly and special. He's available for corporate events if anyone wants to book him. He is a great photo opportunity.
Yes, this is Mowgli. You can't quite tell the sparkles, but he's fully rhinestoned out. And this is a beautiful picture that Kat you took in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, in the middle of the desert at sunset. A natural rhinestone dinosaur in its habitat.
But Blingosaurus is where people can find him and all your other rhinestone goodies.
All the other fun stuff. I rhinestone rubber duckies. I have the tagline that it's everyday objects just bedazzled in the name of fun. So
yeah, why not?
Just to make the world a little bit more sparkly. Like I'm working on a project now, which is going to be a construction hat.
Ooh.
Yes, like the orange construction hat and suspenders.
Is it going to be orange rhinestones?
It is going to be orange rhinestones, and then you can direct traffic in a sparkly. Exactly what it is.
Yes.
For the sexy sparkle rhinestones experience.
Okay. So that kind of leads us into this next topic where somebody else was bedazzling some other unusual objects.
Yes.
It is the world's most expensive sex toys.
Yes. This is a fun article. It's a little bit of an older article. Because I was looking around for articles and I was like, you know what? I'm done talking about the coronavirus. How many ways can we say nobody's getting laid? So I'm like, let's go back to when we talked about stuff before the coronavirus and see what.
Right.
And yeah, it's about some of the most expensive sex toys of all times. There is one that it's the most expensive vibrator in the world.
It's this one I have on the screen, right? It's 1.8 million or something?
Yes, 1.8 million. It's called the Pearl Royale. It was made 20 years ago. It's made out of pure platinum with 70 carats of white diamonds, as well as rare pink diamonds, AAA blue sapphires, South Sea pearl, and freshwater pearls. And it's on permanent exhibition at the ACCA Gallery in Beverly Hills.
So that's not going in anybody's vagina anytime soon.
No, I mean, like, I think more than anything else, all of these are just novelties. And they're not even novelties like you're going to put it in your pussy. It's like a novelty, like, this is just something to have.
Just something bedazzled and amazing to have.
Right.
This one, okay, so I'm going to show you guys this one. This is a 24 karat gold.
Yes.
A 24 karat gold vibrator.
And this one was
it's a work of art.
It is. This one was made by Lilo, and if anybody's familiar, that's a really good vibrator brand.
Mm-hmm.
It's once again novelty kind of thing. It's funny because it was on the Goop website. For anyone who knows Gwyneth Paltrow, she likes to.
This is a Goop product.
Yeah, it was on the website, and the thing about Gwyneth Paltrow is for some reason she's one of those people that people love to hate. So anytime she puts up like ridiculous stuff, people just like seem to go in and bash her. Like if it was on TMZ, everybody'd be like, whatever,
Yeah.
Because it's on the Group, everybody's like, ah. But yeah, they're just, I mean, it's a $12,000 vibrator. It's like having a $20,000 fridge. They still keep your food cold. The $400 fridge is not really different than the $12,000 fridge. In the way the $200,000 car is the same as the $20,000 car. They both get you to the same place. It's just if you have the expendable income to flaunt it.
Yeah.
One of the things that I always said about working in the Hustler, where they had a luxury suite that was $8,000 an hour. And I always used to joke that, like, if you're in that room, you are there to complain about how much money you spent the next day. Because,
why else?
That's the only reason it is. Like, you're going in there, you're having an experience, so the next day you can be like, oh, damn, I spent $30,000 at the strip club last night, and you can brag to your boys about it.
Yeah, well, to have $30,000 to drop at the strip club is nice. Like that's That's nice to be able to do that, you know, like to have that kind of expendable income. And I guess sometimes people do those sort of things just to show themselves that they can.
Well, I mean, think about it. Like Las Vegas pretty much invented bottle service. And I remember the first time I went to Hawkinson, and I was very lucky that I got invited to a table because I was a pretty girl. Like, you know, it happens. Bunch of guys, and they're like, "Oh, pretty girl likes to dance. Come on over." And I was dancing in that area, and I picked up the tabletop, and the bottle service went from $15,000 to $250,000, and it's fucking bottle service. There's nothing that's like that memorable.
That's the thing about Vegas, though, is Vegas knows that if you put a super high price tag on something, somebody's going to want it just because it's the most expensive.
Which is exactly what the thing is with the sex toys. It's just, you know, it's like, I'm going to buy the $12,000 vibrator to say that I own the $12,000 vibrator.
Right? Because I can, and why not?
Right. It's not curing cancer, you know?
And, you know, if it makes them happy, I don't want to judge anybody who has the money to buy a $12,000 vibrator or a $1.8 million vibrator.
Right.
If you have the money to buy it and that's what you want to spend it on, then by all means, good on you.
Good on you, you know? Yeah.
You know,
like, go for it.
I don't want to judge people for spending their money frivolously, because I think energetically, sometimes when you spend your money frivolously, you get big rewards in the universe because you bought something that makes you happy.
Right.
You know?
And it's like just giving yourself that allowance to be the person that deserves that kind of stuff, whatever it is, on whatever level. You know? I mean, I think especially during like this quarantine time, like I was thinking about it this morning, how self-care is so important in whatever way it is. Whatever is going to make you feel sexy, you should do. Whatever's going to make you feel like, you know, you're extra special, especially if you're all alone in quarantine. Like,
yeah.
Like I took the morning and I put on heels and did sexy dancing because I hadn't done it in a while, just because, like, you know, I wanted to be that person, you know? Like,
yeah. We miss that kind of, we miss the reflections of other people because the only thing you get to see is yourself and the computer screen during this time. So you do have to kind of force yourself to do the things that raise your energy level and raise your vibrations and make you feel good about yourself. I really dug it. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and be okay with whatever that is. Like, I know a lot of artists feel like they've been given this pass where there's all this free time because there's no work to like do a podcast or write a book or do all those things that you've wanted to do. And it's a lot of fun doing those, but don't beat yourself up if you're not in the space to do those right now too.
Yeah, I think there's no wrong way to handle a pandemic, right? Like there's no right way, no wrong way. I think everybody's just getting through this the best way they know how. Right. For my personality, projects really help. I like having things to do. I like having projects to accomplish, and that's what's helping me get through this.
Yes.
Though I'm not being douchey and posting on the internet about every project I'm finishing. I'm not that person.
I'm a big fan of, like, especially on my Instagram story, like doing the transition. Like I'm doing my the bathroom at my dad's house right now, and I'm taking off the wallpaper. And I was really cocky. I've done a lot of wallpaper over the years. My dad was a contractor, and he's worked in building his entire career. So like I, as his child, have learned a lot of things. And I was like, oh, I got this in 3 days. And then I went to go take the first of it off. And that wallpaper is from the 80s. And underneath it is wallpaper from the 60s. So there's 2 layers of wallpaper. And like, it's so slow. It is so slow. So it's sometimes I just need like to take the picture to post it for like the milestone where I'm like, I got this part done.
I get that. I did some wallpaper removal at a house I was living at last year, and it was like you'd get off one layer and be like, there's 2 more? Like, what lazy person just wallpapered over the wallpaper? Like,
wallpaper is such a bitch. It really, and it dates a house so quickly because like things change, you know.
Yeah.
That being said, like some of my friends have like amazing wallpaper. I had a friend, Alicia, who you met from the murder mystery last week.
We did a virtual murder mystery that Kat arranged, and Alicia was one of the guests. Yes,
she was one of the guests, but she fell in love with this wallpaper that she bought in Paris, which is gorgeous wallpaper. Like I don't know what the Parisians are doing, but like her house, it's like gold flaked, and it's like so much fancier than the stuff that
It's not just wallpaper. It's like jewelry for the wall.
It is the $1.2 million sex toy in the wallpaper for.
Exactly. Well, people are actually starting to leave their houses again. Segueing to our next article. Strip clubs are reopening in Wyoming.
Yes, they did reopen in Wyoming.
Which is nuts because so many places are still in lockdown. But I guess Wyoming, I was reading in the article, they've only had 541 cases with 175 like possible cases that weren't tested, but only 7 deaths.
Yeah.
So they feel pretty confident in opening.
They do. I know that you and I have both given to Wyoming because we've been to Wyoming together.
I actually really like Wyoming.
It is a very fun state, but the state capital, which is Cheyenne, correct?
Yes.
Is smaller in population than my hometown in New Jersey, which was a suburb, like deep in New Jersey. So there's not a lot of people, which is probably why it's not New York City in terms of like people being right on top of each other.
Everything's very spaced out. You have a lot of room in Wyoming.
A lot of room. And, you know, they do love their sexy people. We used to dance with a girl who like was on a tour that they would consistently go to this small town in Wyoming and make a ton of money to the point where she was going there like 2 or 3 times a year. And it was like, you and I both went to that town and it was a very, very teeny town.
Yeah, there's a lot of, we've never had a bad show in Wyoming. Even if there's 20 people in the audience, we walk out with our pockets full of money. People have been very generous to us every time we've performed there. And they're opening up clubs. And what's interesting is I have the picture on the screen, but for the podcast people that aren't looking at it right now, what's interesting is it's clothes off, masks on.
Yes.
Like that's, so it's an interesting, so the strippers are still touching the patrons. They're still collecting money.
Which is according to the article, quite the carrier for.
I've had this thought quite a few times actually through this pandemic. I was waiting for them to tell us no more cash. No more cash. None of you get to use cash anymore. We're just using cards. But nobody ever said that. Nobody was like, sorry, your money is no good here. Even though money is like the most contaminated thing that I started spraying down my dollar bills before handing them to people.
Yeah.
I was like, so I don't know if the strippers are doing that, but yeah, so
probably not.
Yeah, they have hand sanitizer available in the clubs.
Yeah.
It's interesting. What do you think about them opening up?
I mean, like we're at a weird point in this pandemic because I feel like everybody's like so state by state and like, I'm still at the point where I kind of want to like still stay back. I'm not like jonesing to go to a restaurant. Just because like every person who I think is like the smart person in the situation keeps being like, why don't you just stay home? And that's like my philosophy is like, I look to the smart people. But it is like, it's such a personal choice at this point. Now the strip club did say that it had a, was it like 300? Was it this one that said? There were
what are you talking about?
300 patrons.
Yeah.
Because I was also Houston. I was talking to a girlfriend yesterday who is a little bit deeper in the strip club world than I am at the moment. And I had asked her if she had heard of anything else opening. And she said that Houston was open for a while.
Okay.
And there were some clubs that opened that what they did was they said that they were more of a restaurant than actually a strip club. And that was like, that was like their justification on it.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're trying to figure out how
a way to survive.
Yeah, in the article, one thing they mentioned is the dancers were like, yeah, the government stimulus is great, right? But like, I can make $1,000 a night dancing,
right?
Which compared to the stimulus isn't anything,
right?
And so they're like, this is just, it's really cutting into my ability to feed my family, and I don't want to live off the government, and I don't have to live off the government. And I think it does highlight that states are experiencing this crisis differently. And I don't see the problem if you only have 7 deaths in your whole entire state opening up. It's just, how do you keep everyone else? How do you keep, I guess Wyoming's not that hard to keep people out of. People aren't like flooding into Wyoming.
Right.
But like,
not to say that bad about my Wyoming.
No, we love Wyoming. But I just don't think people are like flooding in.
Yeah.
But what does that mean for like Nevada, right? Like Nevada's reopened. Well, we're just gonna invite the rest of the world to Nevada. Like it's an interesting concept because like we're kind of going from 0 to 60 here in Vegas. They're opening up the casinos, I believe June 4th is the plan. And they're doing massive ad campaigns all across the nation to try to get tourists here. And it, to me, it seems great for Vegas economy. I don't know until we have either a vaccine or a treatment or a better understanding of what's going on, whether it's the brightest idea to start inviting everybody to our doorstep. Yeah.
Right. I was having a conversation with my mom the other day, and we were talking about masks, and like people are becoming like very nonchalant with masks. I've noticed like in the last week, whereas like it was like highly enforced, and now it's become like this is my independence, whether or not I'm going to wear a mask and how I'm going to wear the mask. And she said she was watching, there was a sign on the door and it said like, you have to have a mask to come in, and everybody had them in their back pocket of their jeans. It was a hardware store. So it was a bunch of dudes walking in, and they all had it like in their back pocket versus like actually having it on their faces to prove that they had the mask, but not that they needed to wear it because nobody was enforcing it. So it's, we're at this point where it's just like, you kind of have to really exercise your free will, in terms of like how you feel comfortable, like in terms of how you interact with people.
Yeah, and I feel very privileged to be at a point. We're doing a film shoot on Sunday for something that we're all going to be social distancing and wearing masks and taking them off just for the filming and all the things. And, but I feel very fortunate at this time that like I don't have to leave the house. If I leave the house, it's a choice. If I leave the house, I get to choose the environment I'm going into. I get to choose how I go into that environment, whether I sanitize my hands in and out, all that kind of good stuff. There's not everybody that gets to make those choices.
No, absolutely not. Like, there are people that are like, I need to do this because I'm on food stamps. Like, I took a ballet class last week, and my ballet teacher's like, I'm on food stamps because I didn't get unemployment. And like, I'm not teaching a single ballet class. They're all on Zoom. And, she's like, I've never been in this situation, but like,
yeah,
that's the state of the world it is for some people.
Yeah, and I think it's disappointing because, for a lot of people, the stimulus package has come through for them, which is great. But there's a lot of people that it just has not come through in any meaningful way for. $1,200, even if you got that, is that really that much money over 3 months?
Right.
And so that's the hard thing where it's like, I feel like there's a lot of, especially independent contractors, creatives, gig workers that like Nevada, they got the system up and running. Was it like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? And even then, I know most people haven't gotten payments from it yet.
Right.
So it's just, you know, and even then those people were waiting for payments for 2 months before that. So
right. Yeah, I mean, it's a whole crazy mess, but like, you got to believe that like it's whatever's going to come out on the other side, we're going to be better people because of it. You know, it's all kind of growing pains, and like we really are all in this together. So it's a question of like what's comfortable for us, and then like what's comfortable with the society we're in.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know? And people have a choice. And I think, like you said, I think if you just survive this, you're doing great. I think if you come out of this with new skills, you're doing great. I think that if you come out of this the exact same person, you're doing great. Like, I think as long as you come out of this, you did a great job.
Yeah.
It's a unique human experience.
Yeah. I mean, I've never been through something like this, you know?
No, but at least it got us to bring our podcast back.
I know. We get to meet all these like super cool boss bitch ladies, which I love.
Yeah. So you came up with this week's, well, it's not naked history. She's not technically naked. What is this, like scandalous history?
Yeah, this is Madame Pompadour, who, for anyone who listened to the one where we interviewed Isabella, she painted one of her cats as Madame Pompadour.
Oh, that's correct. Yeah.
Which is why I was like, oh, yeah. And I know Madame Pompadour from an amazing book that you and I have both read, which is The Art of Sex. Art of Sex?
Oh, Seduction.
Yeah. Art of Seduction by John Green. He's British, I think, so he has an E at the end of his name. But I love that book.
It's so good. It goes over all the different archetypes of seduction. So good. Get it on Kindle today.
Yeah, absolutely. And it goes through all the archetypes. It goes through the steps of seduction as a way to manipulate someone. And they always say, like, don't think of it as a bad context that you're manipulating something. They have something you want, and you have something they want, and you've got to figure out how to make it work on both sides.
Do you know who the best at this is?
Hey,
my dog.
Your dog is very good at it.
Yes, my dog is a very good manipulator, and she doesn't feel guilty about it in the slightest.
No,
she does it with great ease.
I have to say, cats are very good at it too. Like,
yes,
where they love you and then they hate you. Your dog is very cat-like overall. You know, she's not a Labrador. She's not like
she's not a dog's dog. You know, no. She would rather be with the humans than the other dogs. I'm obsessed with her. She's
not your adoring kind of dog. Like, oh, I love you. She's like, I love you. Maybe I don't. Maybe I do. Maybe I don't.
But if people get into the book, they can get into all those different archetypes of seduction.
Different archetypes. But throughout the book, they use examples of real life situations, from like John F. Kennedy to Marilyn Monroe to Madame Pompadour. And Madame Pompadour was considered like pretty much like the ultimate French mistress through the monarchy of, France.
It was Louis I want to say 15th. Let me look.
Yes.
Louis the 15th. Okay, yes. Because Louis the 14th was the Sun King. This is Louis the 15th son. Right. Or Louis the 14th son.
Right. And that was actually one of the things that she kind of, if you read The Art of Seduction, she kind of inspired in him, because it's very hard to follow the Sun King in terms of like trying to create your own name. So he pretty much, yeah. So like, he like kind of just was like a ne'er-do-well. And she, when she was very little, was predicted to be the mistress of the king. Like she was like 8 years old or something like that. And she took it to heart. And her mom, who was a prostitute, also took it to heart, because they educated her as if she was always going to be like the ultimate mistress. So she learned theater, and she learned plays and singing and the piano, like anything you can think of. Like she was the ultimate entertainment. And you know, when she hooked up with Louis the 15th, like it was like a party all of the time, but it was always an educational, inspirational party almost, where like she was a patron to the arts. Like pretty much Versailles was built for her. Like she was the mistress to the king for 20 years, the official mistress, which I love France because they actually have official mistresses where it's not.
Well, they would give them quarters. They would give them quarters and apartments in their own chateaus on the grounds.
Yeah, and they would build stuff. And like, you know, supposedly the marquis cut diamond is created after the shape of her mouth. Like they would give them ridiculous diamond rings, and
yeah,
you know, it was a fabulous lifestyle that ended up creating some of the best architecture in France because of it.
Yeah, she even had, I read, a salon of like intellectuals and artists and philosophers that led to much of the art that we attribute to Versailles, France. So,
right.
I mean, she clearly had a large influence not only on the aesthetics, but also like the politics and the people.
Oh yeah, no, she was running a lot of it behind the scenes, which was, you know, a lot of fun. Like she's one of the ultimate like seductresses through the years, like where you're like Cleopatra, Marilyn Monroe, Madame Pompadour.
Oh my gosh, how would you love a legacy like that? Like, I'm one of the great seductresses in history. I made men just lay down their worlds for me. I can't even get them to stay around 3 months, and these women are like getting them to lay down kingdoms and stuff.
Yeah, but that's what happens when a fortune teller tells you're going to be the mistress of a king, and when you're 8 and you actually believe it. You're like,
you can manifest anything you want.
Absolutely. So you got to go with the positive signs. You got to be like, yes, of course I'm going to do that.
Yeah. No, I'm loving learning about these scandalous women in history. What is that phrase? What well-behaved women rarely make history?
Yes. It is true. It is true. And I always say all the fun's in the fringe areas too. You know, it's.
Do you know those books? The books that you see in gas stations that are like the wayward women of this town or that town.
I actually have a couple of those books.
You should pull a story or two, because I think those are always fascinating.
Yes, it's the one I got was when I went to Bryce Canyon in Utah with my family, and then about like wayward women of the West, you know?
Yes, I love it.
Oh no, totally. I mean, they're a lot of fun, you know. There are a lot of, you know, anyone who's watched Westworld knows how much fun the Madam character is. Like the best character on Westworld, in my opinion, because if
you're gonna play. Yeah, if you were gonna be a woman during that time frame, a madam wasn't a bad role to be in, because you had a certain amount of power and a certain amount of protection. I don't know how being a prostitute in like
an overall prostitute. You gotta work your way up.
You gotta work your way up. Started from the bottom.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, but like, you know, I was talking with a girlfriend last night who is was very much in the strip club scene a couple of years ago, and was a very top earner at the strip clubs. Like she was like in the top 5 at Sapphire one year, and like it's always amazing to watch men with her, because she embodies such charisma and power, and because of it, like you can just watch men just like turn into puddles in front of her. And it's just the way she holds herself. Like that's the amazing thing about it. It's the attitude that she projects, and then she gets the mirror of it.
Yeah. Well, going back to the book, that's one of the great things that the art of seduction helps you do, is identify
who you are,
your style of seduction. Yeah. Because some people are the seductress, right? That like blatant style, but some people are more coy. Some people need to be taken care of. You know, there's like different kinds of infatuations that people can have with you and become, obsessed with you in a way, which is love, right? In a way, love is like a weird obsession.
Yes, and it's very interesting because like you have to both parties involved. It's like playing not chess. It's like playing a game where both people need to mirror each other. So, for example, I was talking about this with a girlfriend, and I heard from somebody I had not heard from for a very long time, and they messaged me like, "Oh, during quarantine, how are you doing?" Da 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 da. We start talking about a fish tank because he just got a fish tank. I'm like, "Send me a picture of your fish because I want to see the fish tank. It's a saltwater fish tank. It's very nice.
Sounds lovely."
Lovely. Now, look at me. I'm very much like the cute, adorable girl. That's my persona. Like, if you read the Art of Seduction, like I'm very much like a star. Like I'm very childlike in my energy, which is adorable. And I can be sexy, don't get me wrong. But like, instead of my picture of my fish tank, I got a picture of his dick. Which is a very nice dick. Don't get me wrong. This is probably, it's very nice. Like he is very blessed genetically, and I understand why he leads with that because like it's quite a sight to be seen. That being said, like if I ask for a picture of a fish tank and you send me a picture of a dick, you're not reading the situation. You're not.
No, you're not. And honestly, I don't want to speak for all women, but even the times where I've been like, sure, send me the dick pic. I don't even know if I've looked at it. Do you know what I mean? I don't care.
I swear to God, this was one of the funniest situations I was ever in. I was watching, I started with a shaman for a long time, Shaman Durek, that you know. And I was watching he was doing a whole seminar on relationships. And he's giving like this long, intense talk about like men and women and like, and somebody asked him like, oh, like, how do you keep your male as a female entity? And he's like, give guys more blowjobs because guys are obsessed with their penis and they think that every woman is obsessed with their penis. And if you understand and think of it from that standpoint, then they're going to think like you've gotten them. Because
you understand me.
Right. Right. And I was like, I just like was watching this and I just burst into laughing because I'm like, oh my God, that is so true. Like that is how it do things. Like, we always think like, oh, it's about this and this and this. And it's like, no, it's just like so simple.
I am very guilty of complicating what men are thinking. That is something that I am fully aware that I do. I put all these layers on everything they do. And then I proceed to tell them how their actions really meant X, Y, and Z. And they're like, no, it meant A. Like, it just meant A.
Right.
And I'm like, no, you think it meant A.
But this is what it really meant.
Yes, exactly. Like, I do that. I've probably ruined a dozen relationships that way.
Oh, they're just learning lessons. Just learning
lessons. Just with funny stories. So I had a drunken, lovely phone call with my future brother-in-law.
Mm-hmm.
Joel. He's amazing, and we're gonna start exploring baby.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we don't quite know what it means.
Right.
He's gonna they're in Houston, so he's gonna find a doctor there, talk to them, whatever. But yeah, I think we're gonna start exploring I don't want it in me, but like a surrogate, another person.
Right. You just want to hand over the eggs.
Yeah, but then they said because
they'll
like normally
for you.
They'll freeze some for me.
I was like, that's probably gonna be the deal. Yeah.
Yeah, so then I don't have to worry about when I find Mr. Right.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Because isn't that kind of like, I mean, my mom's horrified by the whole thing, but
you are like manifesting things left and right now.
I'm in a great energy, man. I really am. Like I there is a certain part of me that feels guilty that this quarantine has given me such clarity about what I want and how I want to live my life. But before quarantine, I was just running around trying to keep up with everything, and I wasn't doing anything to the best of my ability. And the nice thing is now I feel like I'm really not only supporting myself, but supporting the people I work with and allowing the people I work with to create really cool art. And that's always what I've loved to do, is facilitate awesome artists. And I'm fine.
Your love language is you hire people.
Yes. I want to give you a job. I want you to work. I want you to succeed and be amazing. And the nice thing about this virus is it allows me to focus on that again.
Yeah.
And because running events all across the country, there's a lot of logistics, you know? And those logistics I haven't had to worry about for about 2 months now. And it looks like I'm not going to have to worry about again for another couple months. I talked to Becky today, and we're pretty much, we have a new referral program with Pinups on Tour.
Mm-hmm.
I'll talk about real quick.
Yeah.
So basically, if you book your show for Pinups on Tour before August 31st, or you get the booking process started before August 31st, we will give, and this can be for shows in 2021 as well. So you can pre-book for like over a year from now. We'll give $150 donation to any veterans organization or nonprofit of your choice.
Oh,
so,
very nice.
Yeah, so it's a way of us kind of trying to incentivize our supporters to say, like, hey, can we look forward to 2021 and get, you know, like, we get it, like, but like, let's look positively forward.
Right.
And it allows us to help our community a little bit more, and at the same time, it gives us something to do, something to promote, and you know, a way to help spread the word of what we do at Pinups on Tour when we can't do events. So.
Right. One of the things I've noticed with events is you're always running from one to the other, you know, because like the margin's not that big. Like it looks glamorous, but like in regards to like going to concrete, there's a lot more money in concrete if you're like debating between the two, like, oh, I should like, and you really want to make a lot of money. Like there are certain industries where like you hear people about what they mark up and you're like, oh my God, that's insane compared to entertainment.
Yeah. Well, one thing I'll also say about entertainment in terms of the markup is that people think we're charging a lot of money. But if you break down the number of humans involved in creating what you're doing, and if you break down paying each of those humans fairly, by the time we're walking away, we're not making a lot of money.
And that person, especially when you get into like specialty skills, you're paying them for the thousands upon thousands of hours that they had to do to learn that specialty skill, whatever it is. You know, that's why like certain performers, like if you are hiring someone who's doing a sear wheel, that's why they can charge so much money, is because it takes a lot of, you know, you got to work out a lot to even like be able to spin a sear wheel. Like
exactly.
Yeah. You know, but like I have found with me with events is that like there was like this, okay, we're not doing anything for a while, and now things are like starting to pick up a little bit here and there creatively, but like it gives you a perspective to realize all the cool shit you've done, you know, because when you're running from one to another, you kind of forget how cool the stuff you do is.
One thing I did during this, if you go to WTT Burlesque, you'll see I redid it this morning. But I redid not only that website, I redid our website for Do Right Industries. I redid my personal website. I redid Pinups on Tour's website a little bit, tweaked it around a little bit. And the thing that I realized is going through all that stuff, I was like, wow, we've done so much. We are so prepared to come out of this crisis in a way that is like we're gonna hit, because we've done it a million times. Like, but until right now, I was talking to Becky. Becky's our project manager here, and I was talking to her, and I was like, I want us to focus on becoming like a content company until we can do shows, because at the end of the day, we're an entertainment company. And if we can't entertain in person, then we entertain online. And I think that value and what that's going to force us to do as an organization is going to be very beneficial.
Right, because there is going to be a time period where they're going to figure out a vaccine and we're going to actually have events that are bigger because, like, truthfully, like the big corporate events, they only have the big paychecks because there's a lot of people there. You know, like you go to an event and there's like thousands of people there. That's why they can pay so much money, is because there are thousands of people there. So
who paid a lot of money to come there usually.
Exactly. It's, you know, it is a snowball effect. So like to get back to the entertainment levels where you're making real money is going to be a while away. You know, we can say, oh, wouldn't it be amazing? But like, as of right now, they're probably not going to put like 3,000 or 4,000 people in a room together just because.
That's one of the things I'm interested at. One of the benefits of Pinups on Tour is we can operate with a small audience and still function.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that's going to allow us to come back as a tour quicker than maybe some other. Like when we were talking with Isabella about her vampire balls, you know, 2,000 people
is a lot of people.
I don't know the next time they're going to allow 2,000 people at one event.
Right.
You know, here in Vegas, they've sold out Raiders Stadium for the fall. And I'm like, is this, we really are going to fill like, I don't know how many thousands of people they fit in Raiders Stadium. Sure. You guys think that's going to happen. I don't know. I think it's going to be a slow burn for events and a while for us to get back to the capacity that we were all operating at. And in the meantime, the creativity that comes out of it, I think will kind of show which companies are going to withstand and which companies aren't.
Yeah. And, you know, like you and I both did improv for a time in LA. And one of the things that they always say in improv is, you need boundaries to create something, like, you know, that especially when it comes to like improv, where they're like, you need the rules. We're going to create a game and there's going to be rules so you can play within the rules and it's going to make the creation better. And that's where we are right now in life, which is like, oh, well, we're all entertainers and, you know, we got to figure out what to do until we're allowed to be in the capacity where we can entertain fully again, you know. And it might be like dressing up for a murder mystery or doing pinups on tour online or just like writing a book or doing a podcast or whatever. But it's something that needs to be done because like we still need to create, even if we can't do it in front of 4,000 people.
Exactly. And thank God we have the internet to do that.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you to everyone who watches. We really appreciate it.
Everyone who watches and listens. As a reminder, please, if you enjoy us, if you enjoy our podcast, if you enjoy learning about these really fascinating entrepreneurs in the sex industry, please remember to subscribe and review. If you review, hit the 5 stars, please, and leave a nice little note for us. It means the world in iTunes, those ratings and things. Otherwise, you can find us online at WTT Burley. Our website is WTTburlesque.com. We're coming back, I think, not next Tuesday, but next Thursday. We're going to skip next Tuesday. I actually have another gig, and we'll come back on Thursday a little bit earlier at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to be back with some more guests, some great interviews where we try to answer what's better than sex, Kat.
Nothing. The answer is nothing. But because due to quarantine, most people are not having sex. If you're single, we're going to try and figure out another option.
Yay! We're single usually. We've been single we're single a lot. But we can't blame that on quarantine.
No. Well, I mean, I will say that, like, on average, my single friends not in a quarantine are having way more sex than people that I know who are in relationships. So I mean, that's just overall, like, I feel that to be the case with most of my friends. So like the extenuating circumstances that usually the single people would be having a lot of sex, but there's a quarantine going on.
So, hey, what can you do? You know,
There's
we
no
got to
business.
figure out. Listen to our podcast. That's what you can do.
Yeah.
Listen to our podcast. We'll see you guys next week. And that's it for this week's episode of Better Than Sex. Bye.
Bye.